and welcome to the 5U Fans Roundtable. What are you doing?
I'm smiling at you.
Hello, welcome to the 5U Fans Roundtable review for Doctor Who Series 9, Episode 12, Hellbent. We're just here going to talk about the episode a bit, I guess, aren't we?
Probably.
We've got Dan, we've got... Look, it's John Granston!
Hi guys.
Enough about John. We've got Livy,
Bye.
we've got Crystal,
Hi!
and we've got Billy Tracy.
Hello.
You don't like him, do you?
Drashig's here in spirit.
Hey!
Yay!
Hi guys! I guess we'll just ask everyone what they thought of the episode. Let's start with Dan.
I felt like I shouldn't be liking this story. There's certain bits that should be annoying me. I should be annoyed that Clara came back, and I was a bit, but I didn't dislike it as much as I did. It's a bit of maybe a guilty pleasure sort of episode. I mean, I know like Billy doesn't mind like the wedding of River Song.
Do you want to just outing Billy there?
Sorry. I, at the end of the episode and a bit after, I felt like a few questions of what happened. Like, what happened to Rassilon? Because surely with a character like that, he's a big Doctor Who character, I thought, oh, he's gone away, he's going to come back a bit later, and almost a bit of a revenge sort of thing coming back, and sort of what happened to Gallifrey? There was this big massive hype on Gallifrey's coming back, and he said it in the synopsis and ruined it for everyone. So yeah, there's some of that. Also with the hybrid, it was funny because I think there was some things online, some versions of what people said the hybrid was, which actually sounded more exciting than what it ended up being. There was a trailer somewhere. One of those, is it VG?
Vortex guys.
Who showed all these things and then showed all these different hybrids from the past 10 years, and it was like, is this all going to connect up like from the past 10 years? Is this going to be a big thing that's connecting like the 10 years together? Maybe it's something related to celebrating 10 years of Doctor Who.
I mean, it could also be the Doctor from the TV movie saying he's half human, as they tease cheekily.
So
I love that.
So I remember about 20 minutes into Hellbent, I was thinking, this is the most okay finale we have ever had. Like, no, it wasn't like, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is terrible, or this is brilliant. It was, I've never felt like, that kind of feeling before. This kind of okay-ish, which, I mean, that's not a bad thing, but and then as soon as Clara came back, I kind of lost what was happening, which is weird because I was in a dark room. I couldn't get distracted by anything. It was on the screen in front of me, and the volume was high enough for me to understand everything, but I just lost what was happening. It was just a lot of ideas in Hellbent.
It was quite idea dense.
Yeah, and
Not saying it was dense, but it was like very dense of ideas.
Yeah, and I just sort of I struggled to follow it a bit. And I think the thing with this series is I did a video before Series 9 came out about fan service in Doctor Who and how there's kind of a lot more of it now, and that kind of devalues it a little bit. And I think Series 9 has kind of been the epitome of that in a way. The only thing more Season 22 than Series 9 is Season 22. It's like, it's a couple of years on from an anniversary, and it's a lot of fan service, and I just kind of feel like it's not that rewarding really, and it just I came away from the episode in the series feeling a little bit hollow, a little bit
Billy,
empty.
are you saying that 2015 is the new 1985?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
We've waited 10 years to see Gallifrey again. And finally, this is the episode where the Doctor returns to Gallifrey. And when I heard about this initially, I thought, great, fantastic, we've got a whole episode set on Gallifrey. And I thought it was going to be an episode about the Time Lords, and I thought it was going to be a story that was sort of standalone on its own, not really to do with previous characters or anything like that. So we arrive on Gallifrey. Gallifrey looks fantastic, and then Clara returns, and I didn't expect this to happen. So it was quite an unexpected turn, and from this point on, after she left and faced the Raven, I thought, that's it, she's done. And when she came back, I just thought it kind of, I think it devalued her very noble death, you know. So I didn't expect this. On the other hand, though, I do prefer this ending to their story, because what this episode has given us is given us proper closure. And closure to the point where the Doctor no longer remembers Clara, because let's face it, this is the most toxic relationship that the Doctor's had with a companion. And the Doctor wasn't the Doctor in this episode. He was prepared to let the universe go to pot because...
And he killed a man.
He did. He shot another Time Lord in cold blood. And that so undoctorly. So naughty. And,
like
you know...
the opposite of what a doctor does.
Well, exactly. And so this relationship has caused the Doctor not to be the Doctor anymore. And so by having his memories erased, I thought this was the best sort of conclusion we could have had. I think I'm so glad that he's got a new outlook. He's, you know, as we see at the end, my favourite scene of the episode, in the TARDIS, puts his jacket back on, gets a new sonic screwdriver, and he becomes a new Doctor, and it's great to see that. And so I think overall, I liked the episode based on what loose ends it ties up and what it set up for the future.
I think it was probably, in my opinion, the weakest episode of the series. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed something like Heaven Sent. Heaven Sent was probably like my favourite episode of the series and probably my favourite Stephen Moffat episode. But I think the problem I have with that episode is essentially a problem that spilled over into this episode and got a little bit out of control. And it's that essentially it's just become so bogged down in just like catering to people who've been sort of watching the series, who are invested in things like the Hybrid. I wasn't invested in the Hybrid, and Clara, who I was invested in last series, but I've just sort of lost interest, and I'm just looking at my watch, waiting for whoever's coming along next. And I don't know, I just didn't really appreciate it as much. I'm not going to talk about everything that happened in the episode because I'll save that for everyone else. But no, just deep down, it didn't really zing with me, and I just, for the first 20 minutes, I was just waiting for something to happen, and then Rassilon left, and then after that, I was just a little bit bewildered, really. It's like with all the Clara stuff, and then they went into the Matrix, or was it just a catacomb inside the Matrix, or... And from there, I was just confused. I'll watch it again, and I'll probably have something nicer to say about it. But at the moment, I was just struggling with it, I think. Olivia Douglas.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. What do you want to tell the nice people what you thought about Hellbent?
Yeah, so there was closure, but then there wasn't, because Clara's still out there. She's like a rash. One that will eventually go in its own time. Like, you don't have to be on a course of antibiotics or anything. It's like a mild rash, but she's still there. And like you said, she had a really noble way to go out, and then they just ruined it because she was gonna die, and then she didn't, and the Crow was like just waiting, like, come on, and then she just left. She just left with visual effects fuzzing her, and she was
I don't know why the universe hasn't imploded yet.
I like that aspect of him telling the story to someone, and it was quite interesting that it was Clara and that he didn't know who she was. That was quite a nice thing, that he didn't know who she was, and I liked that the acting was incredible, and I as always, I mean, the acting in this series has just been like amazing, and like throughout. I mean, although there's a lot of things that haven't been tied up, like Clara going the long way around, like where's she gonna go? Like, is she gonna see dinosaurs? 'Cause, I mean, I wouldn't be too annoyed if she went and made friends with a Triceratops. I'd forgive her if she did that. But I think they've ruined her noble death, which was amazing. We used to have stories where you could watch them out of order. They were standalone, even though they're in a six-parter. They were like, you could just watch them whenever. and now we have to watch them in order, otherwise we're not going to understand a lot of things.
From an unearthly child onwards.
Yeah.
But it was a nice episode, but there are things I didn't like in it, but that's the same with every episode.
John, hey,
Hello.
what do you think of Hellbent? Tell me now.
Tell
Tell me quickly.
Put out?
But
I
how?
was put out by it. I think we're all in like a good story, and I like being rewarded as a viewer. I like a long running narrative. But the issue is, like, this series, the arc was the hybrid and
Shilda.
Shilda and the Doctor and Clara becoming restless. So when you get to
Wrestlers?
restless,
Okay.
rest,
I would love that as a series finale, just the big showdown. Oh!
Yeah, you wait till you see the Doctor's new costume.
but like they become restless and restless, and as Doctor and Clara, and that's fine. So by the time you come to a series finale, I think it's all right to have that kind of not so much fan service, just self-referencing. If it's inside that series, that's fine. The people who are here by that point are here for that. You know, that's what they're here for. But then as well, you chuck in Gallifrey, Rassilon, and all this other stuff, and then of course you've got the issue that the hybrid doesn't feel like it was founded in anything. It's come out of nowhere, and everyone's suddenly worried about it. Ultimately, the issue I feel like is bigger, and it's something that I've had the issue with the whole series, and it feels like the show's become quite hollow, and it's kind of lost its heart, and it feels like it's kind of pandering specifically to an audience that want to find something. Oh, it was clever, and oh, it had this and this, and it doesn't succeed because it feels like we're just having the same tricks being thrown at us with a different guise, and it feels like we're getting a bunch of set pieces that will be great Tumblr posts, but nothing more. And it left me feeling put out and feel like I've wasted a series.
I wanted to start talking about Gallifrey and Rassilon and the Matrix and the sliders and essentially the fan service. But something that really struck me when we were all talking about the episode is that when we were talking about the episode, we weren't really talking about it like it was a drama that was on the telly. We were talking about it like it was essentially, it was Doctor Who, it was pure Doctor Who. It's like it's transcended being a drama
To its own category.
and it's become
a hybrid.
It's become a hybrid.
Oh, that's really clever.
See, this is the thing. For me, Doctor Who, there's like the concept of Doctor Who and what Doctor Who is on the telly.
Yeah.
And the concept of Doctor Who is this unobtainable thing because it means something different to every single person.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what we ended up getting was, unless that's Stephen Moffat's concept of the penultimate Doctor
Yeah.
Who, to me it just felt like a series of lots of pretty images that are designed to please the fans, which is just fan service. And so we then end up with, like I said, a hollow episode, because then when you realise the plot is just about Clara, which was unexpected, I didn't get that coming, when you strip the episode of its fan service, oh, it's this.
I mean, I was saying that I wasn't particularly invested in a Shilda or Clara, but I still, enjoy Gallifrey. I've watched the Five Doctors enough to know that I unabashedly really enjoy watching Rassilon do the big I Am.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I didn't really even feel like there was really anything on offer for me.
No.
Fan service wise. I mean, I still enjoy watching it on the count of it being Doctor Who. It's my favourite show on telly. I wouldn't be sat here talking to you guys if I didn't enjoy Doctor Who on some sort of lizard brain level.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think as far as just it being a teledrama's involved, there's sort of a lot to push through to get to that drama. Because I thought the core of the episode was sort of boiled down to that one scene with Clara and the Doctor in the diner TARDIS, I guess we're going to call it now, with the button. And Clara saying, no, you're not going to do that to me. I've got my own, I can make my own choices. I thought it was a little bit of a rip-off of Journey's End, but we're not getting to that. We're not getting to that. But I really enjoyed the drama of that scene. But to be invested in the drama of that scene, there's so much to get to. You have to really appreciate Clara and the journey that the Doctor have taken through the series. And there's quite a lot there. I mean, it's not something you can just sit down and just cathartically enjoy.
Yeah.
I think as well with the fan services, one of the problems is just so much of it, and it's not treated like it's a big deal. Like the best way, I mean, for me with fan services is when it's quite sort of sparse, and when something does come out, you make a big deal of it in a way that doesn't isolate the casual audience.
Or stop the drama.
Yeah, and you know, like Heaven Sent, I loved it, but the Doctor doesn't really react to Gallifrey. That's a big deal when he sees his home planet, which he's been searching for billions of years at this point, technically. And he just doesn't seem to care. Like the first thing he does when he's there, he just walks into a barn and goes out, goes back in, eats some soup, and like it doesn't feel like he's treating it like a big deal. In fact, it could be set on any other planet. It doesn't really have to be Gallifrey.
No. Because of like what Richard says as well, that the kind of actual drama, the meat of the episode, is this other thing entirely. Gallifrey becomes so irrelevant. It's only there so they can pull Clara out.
Do you know, it's really weird because I found, for me, the biggest payoff of Gallifrey going missing and the Doctor trying to find it was at the end of last series, where the Master says it's there, the Doctor goes, and that raw energy of him just bashing the TARDIS.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was
powerful.
really powerful, but I didn't feel anything.
No,
when
he's
the
not
Doctor actually found it.
It's like finding your keys.
yeah, it's up there it is. But like, and I mean, you can talk about how that kind of is because he was more focused on Clara and all of this. But there's still got to be some emotional connection to I'm home.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think because he was so livid at the Time Lords at this point and for essentially killing Clara, I felt that removed all of that. I put it down to that.
I think we've talked a bit about Gallifrey. Rassilon?
Yes. Who else didn't know that it was Rassilon? Until that scene where they're outside the barn and he comes out to actually talk to the Doctor. As far as I was concerned, oh look, it's Maester Lewin with a cloak on. Like it's not.
I thought maybe we'd get the Doctor saying, "Oh, you've changed your face."
Yeah, there was none of that, and
or something like
like
that. You know,
it was delivered in a
Exactly,
when he says, "Oh, it's Rassilon," he says it in a way that are we meant to know
Like,
this?
yeah,
It's
like,
said as if the audience is meant to know this at this
yeah.
point.
The thing
Like,
is, and people will argue this, and I'm sure in the comments it's already started. The fact that when we got the images and everything, it was pretty obvious it was Rassilon. I think we all kind of went,
There's
oh, it's Rassilon.
so many visual cues.
But the thing
Clues.
is, if once it comes back to that, those poor old casual viewers.
For us lot who have been invested and watched The End of Time, I don't think there at the same time there is enough anger.
No.
Because of the events of The End of Time.
Yeah.
What was Rassilon trying to do? He was trying
Exactly.
to destroy everything.
Yeah.
But he didn't seem miffed enough.
Gallifrey was prepared to rip apart time
Yeah.
to bring Gallifrey back. And in this episode, he was worried that the Doctor would rip time apart. And like when it comes to the point where the Doctor says, "Oh, sod you, I'm going to go and rip time." Well, no, he didn't say that. I'm not going to rip time apart. Rassilon just goes, "All right, sorry."
I'm just
bye."
gonna-
well, they surround him without any guns. He's got a glove that could rip them all apart. Like,
Rassilon is the Time Lord who invented time travel, Gallifreyan society, basically, and was responsible, I imagine, for the Time War and all the horrors of that. And basically, it was just okay.
it's very easily defeated. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Look, I'm Rassilon.
He's
This
just
is
not
my
confident.
gun, right? This is my special magical glove. You guys are all just standing there. Who do you think's going to win? There's more of you, but I've got this thing that can
Magic
blast you
gun.
out of reality.
Yeah.
I don't.
All right, thanks, Billy.
Yeah.
I quite like saying.
I was just like, what's happening? Like, I don't know.
And that's
Do you know what? I just feel bad for the casual viewers who are expecting Barusa.
It's really peculiar because, like we were saying, you have to. Olivia was saying you can't watch this series out of sequence.
No.
Because I mean, like I was saying with Heaven Sent, I really enjoyed the episode, but I really wanted to recommend the episode to people I work with who want into Doctor Who because I thought it was pretty stonking as far as sci-fi drama is concerned. It's probably one of the best things that's been on telly for ages.
Yeah.
I loved
But
it.
you can't watch it out of sequence. You have to know about the Doctor leaving Gallifrey, and you have to know about the hybrid and all these other things.
Why he's there.
Why he's
Why
there.
Clara
Why
is
Clara's
there.
appearing in his mind palace. I suppose you have to watch a bit of Sherlock as well. But also, if you have been watching it in sequence and you were thinking back to the end of time, all of a sudden there's that slight disconnect where you're like, but hang on, he was all evil and Tim Dalton in the last one.
And the thing is, you could argue that this has been kind of set up for the kind of Netflix approach, which is when it comes out on Netflix, there'll be people who come to Doctor Who,
devouring box sets,
and they'll just go through from series 1 to series 9 in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, because you're watching it in such quick succession, you'll get Rassilon, angry Time Lord, last scene going, with the Master. Next time he turns up is...
That's about, what, 22 hours later or something?
Yeah, it's literally a day later. You come back a day later to the same character who's a bumbling old man.
So he's gone from "I will not die" to "Okay, fine."
Bye.
maybe I put it down to maybe this incarnation of Rassilon is just
Yeah, I mean,
not
titles
as,
change,
you know,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
he's not confident.
In this episode, it's quite interesting because we see 3 different versions of the Doctor, and hats off to Peter Capaldi as well to play those 3 different versions so brilliantly. We get the lost boy in the diner who doesn't know who Clara is and is all a bit confused. Then we've got the Doctor that we see, I guess, from Face the Raven onwards, from Clara's death onwards. He's not the Doctor. And he says the Doctor isn't here anymore, and I think that continues. That spills into this episode as well. Clara says, "Oh, where's your coat gone? I like that coat." And she says, "Oh, it's very doctorish." And then he says, "Oh, well, I can't be the Doctor all the time, can I?" Because the Doctor stands for certain things. The name the Doctor means never cruel or cowardly, and that's exactly what he is in this episode. And he's not being the Doctor. And to see, I do like to see, I have enjoyed in the past seeing the angry Doctor, the angry Time Lord, the Time Lord victorious. So there is a certain enjoyment in that, but I think in this episode, to see my hero be like that and for the first time to pick up a gun and shoot somebody was like, it was horrible. And but I do accept that the Doctor wasn't there. But the third Doctor we get is the Doctor at the end of the episode. He becomes the Doctor again, and interestingly, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in more detail, but interestingly, he gets his new sonic screwdriver. He's almost surprised to see it come out of the TARDIS. And it's almost as if the TARDIS is saying to the Doctor, "Welcome back, you're the Doctor again, here's a new sonic screwdriver." So up until this point, we've had, I guess, the Doctor has been having a midlife crisis, and also he lost all sense of perception because of Clara. So that's why I think it's so good that Clara has now been removed from his mind, because the danger of that happening again is gone.
He did also say that killing the General, regeneration to a Time Lord is a bit like having a bad cold.
But
he's not. He treats it like death.
But the thing is, in the end of time, last time we saw Rassilon and the Time Lords, in the end of time, he says, "Every time I regenerate, it's a death."
He goes, even when I die, even when I regenerate, it feels like dying. Some new man goes swatting away. So when I'm dead, Bernard, hold me.
We need a name for the Doctor when he's not the Doctor. Like
The
Graham or
anti-Doctor.
something.
The Graham.
I thought it was Captain Grumpy. Isn't that the consensus?
Captain Sassy Pants.
The GP.
So, The Matrix.
Is it the Matrix?
What?
Well,
Is it the
was
Matrix? What's going on there?
I wasn't too sure.
I thought the monsters were wired up to the Matrix, so we never actually saw the Matrix, but they were in something that looked after the Matrix. Was like,
It was like
it's like a physical database, really, isn't it?
what are they called? The sliders.
Yeah, they guard it.
I like those.
They were quite cool.
They were
I
cool.
love that. Yeah.
I wish we'd see more of them. Instead of the sort of, did they have sort of holographic faces?
Yeah,
It'd be
that's
cool if we had like actual
I-
zombie Time Lords.
I would have liked to have seen them do something. The monsters chase the Doctor and Clara, but I would have liked to have seen them get caught by
Yeah,
the
to see someone else try and escape.
Because it's not very effective firewall, really, isn't it?
No, you can just
Is
kind
it?
of dodge
No,
past.
it was a bit like a video game. How they worked. They just sort of did this sort of like.
I like the idea of them because they don't reach out or anything. So I like the idea of someone trying to escape and they just go "Rrr," and just like run you over.
Do you think they've stolen Connolly Sarf's hoverboard?
Yeah.
I thought like the face thing was interesting, but I have no idea what the threat is because I'm not shown it. I've just told it.
Yeah.
That's another thing, is the show and don't tell rule, and we're constantly being told that this is important and here's a thing and yes,
We're meant to know it.
I think
but we never see the effects of this stuff, and it's
They're trying to make it so it's like it's the unknown that's scary, like in Midnight, but it's just not working because they expect us to already know, and it's just like.
And I think when you have at the start, I know they made that very heavy-handed point of the Doctor doesn't want to speak to anyone unless it's the General, and that's what the door a bit is with the barn. But if you got rid of that 5-minute chunk, you'd have more time to explore these other concepts that you've thrown out there. Which
I did love that though. I mean, one of my favourite
Sass.
bits of the episode. Yeah, one of my favourite bits of the episode is how the Doctor doesn't talk for the first 10 minutes, and he does all of the acting with his face alone.
Once again, though, it's a case of I just felt lost. I mean, the Doctor not talking at the start is a good. He's making a good point.
I mean, after 4.5 billion years of talking to yourself, I think you're gonna
Let someone else speak.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have a clue what was going on in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Because you have the title sequence, and then suddenly the cloisters are ringing, and then Rassilon's grumpy and different, and then the Doctor's in a barn, and we have this woman.
Yeah, the woman who just goes, oh,
It's you?
It's the Doctor's Mrs. Hudson, isn't it?
Yes.
And none of them have
kill
names.
you.
We don't know who any of them are, and it's just a bit like. I mean,
Yeah.
It's kind of teasing stuff that you're meant to feel.
I
I do-
think
attached to.
you're going to write the story in your head.
I do find myself though
But-
just accepting and making assumptions though. I think nowadays, and I think with that I just put it down to the Time Lord sixth sense, like how they can see through regenerations and they know
Yeah.
who they're speaking to.
I did.
I just put it down to that.
I did.
Really.
I did appreciate that. What was? I mean, the one big Time Lord reveal of the series wasn't more stuff about the Doctor's past. Because when we went back to the barn, I was just seeing in my head, more about the Doctor's childhood,
Yeah.
about his dark past, about
We're going to find out why he left.
Gallifrey. But the only actual thing we learnt about the Time Lords in this episode was that when they die, they go into the confession dial and they get uploaded to the Matrix. And
that's
just,
interesting.
just quite nice, really. I thought that was
Yeah.
a really nice sort of tonal thing.
Yeah.
And it actually contributed a little bit to the lore as well.
I love that.
I
and,
appreciate that.
And they go in, they go into the confession dial to sort of tie up loose ends and stuff.
Clara's back! Dad! What do you think about Clara?
she was in the episode.
Yep, Billy,
Oh, she was in the episode.
John,
Definitely in the episode.
Livy,
She was there, yeah.
Crystal. Can you tell me a bit more about her just being in the episode?
I think
She was in the
I think she was in
episode.
the episode. I think she was in most of the episode. Was she? Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
There was a bit she
yeah.
wasn't in it, but then she was in it
Yeah.
to stay.
But I can't remember the bit where
Yeah.
she wasn't in it.
Yeah,
because
no.
I mean, as I said before in my first little bit of the review, it was a surprise to see her back, and I didn't think this episode would be so much about her. So it took an unexpected turn. Did I like it? Well, I was looking forward to a Gallifrey story, and I was looking forward to a Time Lord story. We didn't really get that, but what we did get, I think, is this resolution and an end, a real end to the end to Clara and the Doctor. I think quite often a finale is to do with a big monster, a big baddie, and stuff. This finale is very, I guess, it's not really about that. It's more about the central characters, and I've often believed that when Doctor Who becomes too much about the central characters, I think it can become less interesting.
I think that's a Stephen Moffat thing.
I think
actually.
I do agree.
Like
yeah,
it's, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's good to have a sort of a good character arc. Like I mean, with the Big Bang
Yeah,
and,
series 5 was.
and Wedding River
But
Song.
it is all about her and the Doctor, and if you don't care about Clara,
yeah.
it's not interesting. I have had my issues with Clara and her character, and I think mainly because I think she's so clever, and so I had quite an interesting comment, funny comment the other day saying, "Why are you so jelly of Clara?" And it's she is so clever and so perfect at everything.
It's insufferable.
And it's kind of annoying. It's annoying. I'm just like, you've got no flaws.
yeah.
She's probably not as good at maths as Adric, though.
Oh,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, it's what I did enjoy, and I think I didn't mind her so much in this episode because I did enjoy how she stood up for herself, and I think this was a better send off for her. I think I'm glad that it's ended this way.
But at the same, I think
I didn't mind.
I understand it is quite a good way, but it's slightly ruins the moments in Face the Raven.
Oh,
It
definitely,
Final, like,
definitely.
It's like
Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes
It-
of those two talking.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen her in this episode go back to face her
Yeah.
death.
The issue is we had Face the Raven. There was a beautiful little moment between the Doctor and Clara where they say, let me go out like this.
Yeah.
And then we had, and then he's angry and he goes into the confession dial, and we have Heaven Sent. And there's the moment in Heaven Sent where he comes to terms with it.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to terms with her death. He has the imaginary Clara, and he said, get off your ass and be the Doctor. And he has that happen to him every day for 4 billion years.
Yeah.
And then he comes out the other end and is
It's like he's
upset
learned
again. He's learned nothing.
Face the Raven and Heaven Sent. It's like Clara saying, "Let me go,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he just can't.
So a friend of mine has got this really good analogy actually on the Doctor and Clara's relationship, and what it's like is it's like two people snogging. It's great for the people involved, but not for everyone watching.
Are you saying that the audience is the third wheel in their relationship?
Yes.
In the
Yeah.
That is one
100%.
enormous third wheel.
And that's basically
You know-
that's basically what it feels like, because I feel really interested and invested, and then every time the Doctor turns around and goes to Clara, oh, but you're so important. Oh, I did this because of you. Oh,
You
you
feel
know.
like, should I leave?
Yeah. I'm just
You
like,
guys going to be
oh.
long because
I mean, if you want to be left alone, I can go over to X Factor.
Yeah.
casualties on an event.
Casualties.
So.
I'll tell you what, I'll just pop over to ITV and then come back.
So it is weird, this level of this level of obsession to the point where he's prepared to let the universe implode on itself.
The
Um,
end of time.
he went across, gets all of his own rules and stuff. He loses all sense of perception. I don't really understand why the Doctor is so obsessed with her and why I don't get it.
Sort of-
He's not in love with her.
No.
It's not. It's definitely. It's
Not in that way.
Not in that way. So.
But it's like her
I don't quite
importance-
get it.
Do you think?
But it's like her importance makes all the previous companions not good enough.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
why is she so important? She's just a girl that loves adventure, and everyone loves adventure.
I think
Like,
that's what annoyed me.
no one likes being bored.
I think it's sort of devaluing all these. It's devaluing Rose, Martha, Donna. And actually
Yeah.
Classic,
the classic
yeah.
who are all very
Paul Mel.
equally.
Dodo.
Oh god, do you think we're going to get
It's
Clara
like-
at the end of Peter Capaldi's run?
No.
before.
Just touches
Just
his
turns up.
face.
It's like, oh, is that a diner?
Love it if he's literally at the very end because is in a desert or something, because they're always in the American desert, and he just sees an oasis. Oh, is that a cafe?
That's
No.
actual real diner in space.
Could you all give me one noise just to describe how you felt when you saw the classic series TARDIS? That's,
Yes!
That was two noises.
No, it was
Oh, it was
fascinating.
several noises,
Okay.
wasn't it?
How did you feel
I loved it.
in a noise?
Ugh.
Dan?
I was making a noise that you couldn't actually hear.
It's iconic, and I think what's great about it is, and I don't mind. I actually really enjoy fan service actually, and I think I really enjoy. I really enjoyed seeing the TARDIS, not only because it's an iconic set, but also because it's a classic set that has been lit properly,
Oh, it's
and it's been extended, so it's 360 degrees, Peter Capaldi's TARDIS. So they've got the freedom to film better shots within that TARDIS, and it was so.
He doesn't wobble.
What I loved about that TARDIS and the extraction chamber was the pristine white. And it was so, it just looked so lush, and it was gorgeous. It was so beautiful.
Especially in comparison
So
to the set they have at the moment, where it's kind of not underlit, but I don't know, it's just quite dark.
it's very different. It's very different. It's a
And
very
it's-
different type of set. Yeah.
But no, it does look beautiful and
So
and
lovely.
Sort of like a new car sort of look, and also a little bit alien at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was just sort of despairing a little bit, thinking if this TARDIS if this TARDIS comes back, does that mean they have to bring back Ashilda and Clara as well?
I
John.
have very
Anyway.
different opinions on that.
Come on, John, get it out. Come on, we know you want to.
Go on, vent it all.
It was dull, small, and looked cheap.
What?
Dead to me.
It looked smaller to me than it looked in the classic series.
His
I think it
red
looked
face is
bigger.
embarrassed.
No, it looked like it was the same.
What? Oh.
And
It looked really long, didn't
It
It
it?
looked
didn't
long,
look.
yeah.
It didn't look as small as it did. Like, do you remember in I think it was series 19 or something, where like literally when they're getting around the TARDIS, they have to squeeze in
True.
past the console
Yeah,
because I don't know they'd run out of set space or something.
but
Crazy.
It was very cool.
I don't know. It just it didn't impress me in the same way as it.
Oh.
And like because they had the roof thing in, which is lovely,
Mm.
and it was a nice recall. But the thing is, because it was so low, it felt very cramped and very tight, and that could be a good thing. Like the issue I have as well with the white and everything that was happening is it actually reminds me a lot of like 60s science fiction, which you can argue is a good thing, but at the same time it reminds me of like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I think this Doctor Who episode isn't quite on that par.
So yeah, the episode ended,
Yes.
but we also saw the Doctor essentially in a bit of a homecoming. Essentially, he's back to his normal self, and he's got this chance to develop anew.
Well, it's almost like because it's almost like he's. It's interesting you should use the phrase "back to his normal self" because I think this is the first time he's become the Doctor. I think ever. In
Oh, you mean this
12th
incarnation?
Doctor. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. I think the 12th Doctor. This is the first time we've seen the 12th Doctor's true incarnation. I think he spent a long time. He spent Series 8 figuring out who he is. Am I a good man? All of that. Series 9, I think he spent that going through a midlife crisis. But both series his perception has been skewed because of Clara. So now with Clara removed from his mind, he's able to become his own person. He's not controlled or influenced by anyone else. He's his own person. And that scene in the TARDIS, I loved seeing him go into the TARDIS, the lights switching on, that heroic 12th Doctor theme. He picks up his jacket, he gets a new Sonic, and it's almost, the TARDIS is saying, "Welcome home, Doctor. This is,
I hope he keeps
you
that
are the 12th
velvet
Doctor." I hope so.
jacket.
He becomes a 12th Doctor, and I'm so excited to see where this goes. The shame about this just only happening now, 2 series into Peter Capaldi, is how long are we going to have with this Doctor?
Yeah, we don't.
We spent
We're
so
past the
long.
halfway point of all this
I love it.
uncertainty.
Well, the thing is, we've spent so long with the Doctor figuring out his identity, and he's been figuring out his identity. 1 minute he's a very serious, stern, man, and the next minute
yeah.
he's playing his guitar and he's got
He's all
and he's
puns.
eccentric.
He's cool uncle. Yeah.
He's cool uncle, and so we've seen this very sort of turbulent sort of character, and a lot of it I think is influenced by Clara. So he's become the 12th Doctor now.
Do you think he's going to be something completely different to what we've had previously? Obviously, like
I think
series
so. I
8
think
was Mr.
I do
more
think
grumpy.
so. I do think so. But I think hopefully, who knows what the future holds for him. But I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
But like, so yeah, now we've had 2 series with Peter Capaldi. I prefer his portrayal in Series 8. to
Really?
Series 9.
Wow.
Yeah. I found. I mean, it's good that you've said the word midlife crisis because now I can kind of fob it off on that. But like, I found it was like someone who's trying to be cool to kids. Like,
Really?
I'm going to be cool. I'm
Yeah.
going to wear a hoodie,
I-
sunglasses,
I think-
and play guitar.
I'm gonna
It's like,
I'm
ooh.
going to agree with John in this sense because I felt that the 12th Doctor in I can't want to say the 13th Doctor. The 12th Doctor in Series 8, he felt like he had a very good progression and an
Yeah.
arc. Whereas in Series 9, I didn't really feel there was an arc so much.
It was just a sudden shift. As soon as he saw Santa, he was like, "Yes, I'm now."
I'm now going
Yes,
to have
it's Christmas forever.
Yeah.
If we aren't going to get a series next year, it does give them the time to sort of think about what this new Doctor's going to be. Because essentially, it's Stephen Moffat, I imagine he's going to come back and do Series 10, is going to sort of sit down and really think, right, this is the new Doctor, we're going to get a new companion. Where are we going to go? There's all of that, this potential space and time. Where do you want to start?
He said in an interview that whoever the next companion is will completely change the vibe of the show. They completely change the feel of the show. The dynamic is going to be so different. It will change the tone of the show completely. which
But I
is
mean,
something
what
I'm
the
going
Doctor's
to
going
find.
to turn into will also affect.
Yeah.
your-
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It feels like they're rebooting it again.
Oh, it does feel like a.
But the
yeah.
thing is, we've had that for the last 2 series.
Sonic Screwdriver, thoughts? Billy?
Okay, so the new Sonic, I feel like I need to have a better look at it,
Mm.
like in action, to make sure that, to know for sure what I think about it. But my first impression is, firstly, I think it would have been nicer for the colour scheme to match Capaldi's Doctor, the sort of
Oh,
red
totally.
and
I was expecting
the
red light.
red and black
Yeah.
would be really nice.
It looks a little
Or-
festive.
It looks
Which
looks
is-
like a Christmas tree decoration. It
Aw.
kind of looks like a toy. I don't know why. That you'd give to a child with lots of flashing lights and it's that you give just to distract them from something.
Question I've got for you, Billy. Do you think it's of the TARDIS?
It is of the TARDIS. Thing about interesting thing about Sonic actually, it's of the TARDIS. It's if you look at it, it's got a light and at the top, and that's like the TARDIS because that's what the bulb is at the top. The TARDIS. It's of the TARDIS, Richard. Like I say, I'm not going to judge this early on though.
I think it's
it
'cause
looks odd.
it looks odd, but Matt Smith looked odd when we first saw pictures of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's different. I probably would have preferred it if it was orange like the console, but I don't mind. It's the Sonic Screwdriver.
Do you know what it
And
looks-
after the controversy of the sunglasses this year with the fandom, I think it's gonna be.
I'm just glad that we're not still with, because I think one of the things I wasn't happy
Well-
with Series 8 aesthetically was that Sonic just didn't look right with Capaldi.
No.
It was
So
Matt Smith Sonic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's
it's
was-
just so nice to have something new.
That's
It's
it's
the problem-
happened,
it's
it's
the-
actually
yeah,
new.
yeah.
The main problem
yeah.
was that Sonic, that Matt Smith Sonic.
It was like it was part
very-
of his arm.
I think it was more. It looked very much in line with his previous TARDIS,
Yeah.
his orange
Yeah.
TARDIS.
Yeah.
And it looked very much like
Because
that.
it's
I
of
mean,
the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's of the TARDIS.
even if you changed, I think I remember seeing some pictures of like them changing the colour of that Sonic, like changing it to silver and maybe changing the colours. Even if they did something like that, it wouldn't have been as bad like in Series 8. And then we have this new one. But
Yeah. It just.
Yeah.
I suppose it. The only thing I can say at the minute is from what I've seen, it looks just a little bit designed.
See, I think it looks interesting.
Modern art.
But
I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the sort of thing. I mean, do you remember in the last couple of series of Classic Doctor Who in the 6th and 7th Doctor era, mostly in the 6th Doctor era, the 6th Doctor would have like a tool chest and he'd bring out gadgets now and then.
The
like-
Sonic Lance.
Yeah, it looks like the sort of thing he'd pull out of the toolkit.
Yeah.
It doesn't really look like
No.
a screwdriver. Well, I don't know, nothing looks like a screwdriver,
No.
but it's a sonic probe essentially, and it looks a little bit too glitzy. Like there's a little bit too much going on because it's got that coil.
See,
Yes,
I
it's around
think it's an interesting design, but I think we're making these criticisms be based on what we already know to be a Sonic. This is a Sonic screwdriver, but it's just such a different design to what we've had. Our brains are kind of going, "Ooh, hang on a minute." Mine certainly is. I mean, I thought, if this Doctor was to ever get his own Sonic, I thought, oh, maybe it will be quite a discreet design.
Yeah.
Maybe it will just be like a pen
Or
with a little red
yeah,
light.
Doctor's
yeah.
Sonic.
It's like
This
with
is
his costume. What's the word they used? Minimalist.
Minimalist.
Matt Smith's ones look ridiculous. Like, it had
Yeah.
claws
Oh, I
on the
remember.
end. It was
Yeah,
like,
like-
why on earth does this have claws?
Yeah.
But
It's
then
going out
when you
like
see it
that.
in action, you just
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's fine. So we just have to
Exactly, we
wait.
just need to see it in action, I think.
And the last thing I just want to say on that is that it's just nice that it's a reverse of the shot from the start of the series. You had the opening shot of the series where he throws the screwdriver to Davros, and now the TARDIS has returned it to him.
It would have been
Merry
It would have
Christmas.
been better if Bobby Davros had come in and gone, I made some changes, Doc, and just thrown it over instead.
Thanks, Davros.
Yeah. And
And he caught it and they jumped in the air and freeze frame.
Yeah, that would have been perfect, like circular narrative.
Last one in the episode, Daniel Sherritt.
So after sort of talking about it and having to think, I sort of understand maybe this series and this Doctor of being a bit of a midlife crisis. This is the sort of segment of his sort of him being a bit wacky and a bit different, and it's most likely going to go away now. So I can see this as a bit of a sort of an odd one out series. I just sort of see it for sort of what it is, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. but yeah, I think it's been a bit of an. I love the sort of format. I like that we've got two-parters again. I think we've been missing it so much, and I don't know if it's necessarily as good as series 1 to 5, but it's been a nice change, and I think that's something that I've liked about Stephen Moffat, is that almost every one of his series, layout-wise, is very different, and it's been a nice change every time. So again, I think there's been weak ones, I think there's been strong ones. Overall, okay.
It's been good discussing it, actually. That's helped me kind of put a lot of things to bed in my head. But not my favourite. It's my least favourite of the new series. Sorry, it's just not done it for me. I mean, Doctor Who is all things to all people, so it's just not spoken to me this year. It could just very well be that, but I just found it a little bit not quite right. Sorry. What do you think, Richard?
I think Series 9 was... I'm not going to rank it along with all the other series, because I don't really enjoy ranking things. It's not something I do.
Oh, he's on his high horse.
Series 9 has had what I believe is the strongest episode the series has had in a long time. It's Stephen Moffat's magnum opus, as far as I'm concerned. But along with the rest of the series, it's a series that I struggle to recommend to anyone else. It's a series that I feel has alienated the casual audience more than anyone else. And I've enjoyed the journey, not so much the destination, and that's something I've said about quite a lot of this series. I really enjoyed Heaven Sent, the journey of it. I didn't really enjoy the destination. I look forward to what comes next. I think that's the best I can say.
Yeah.
There were so many bits that I absolutely loved, but it seems that the bits I loved most always got ruined somehow, in a way. Like Clara with the noble death, that sort of got ruined a little bit when they brought her back, and so it's bits like that. So the bits that I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy, got sort of a later anticlimactic ending to them, which I was a bit disappointed in. But I did have that initial happiness, so I'm just holding on to the initial bit, and I'll just like leave the room when it continues after. But yeah.
Stay strong, Livy. Stay strong. You can do this.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very brave.
What just happened?
I think we've been spoilt this series. I think, to have Davros, to have Missy, to have Zygons, to have a brand new character, immortal character, and to have, episodes like Heaven Sent. Just as you say, Richard, I think I definitely agree with you. I think is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, Stephen Moffat episode. Doctor Who has never looked so good. I think Peter Capaldi has I actually tweeted last night. I think Peter Capaldi has overtaken David Tennant as my favourite Doctor. I know.
What?
I mean,
OMG.
I know. I mean, this is saying a lot. I'm sorry,
No.
sorry.
Say that to his face!
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, David, but I'm gonna have to say Peter Capaldi's my favourite Doctor. So,
Symbolic laying down.
Sorry!
I mean, I grew up with David. David's my favourite. I guess he's my Doctor, but Peter Capaldi is.
Every song must end.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's great to see them test some new stuff out as well. Some really experimental ideas. I definitely think that's what Doctor Who should be doing. I've had a blast, to be honest. I've had a blast with this series. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, as I said earlier, this series, there's a lot of fan service, and it started on Skaro and ended on Gallifrey, but at the same time, this series hasn't been without its high points, and there's a lot of stuff to take from it. I think, particularly early on, I found there weren't any sort of terrible episodes. There wasn't that sort of made me sort of jump up and down with happiness or excitement. I think generally it's been good, sort of, okay, good, but nothing that's kind of made me think, yeah, apart from Heaven Sent. Another thing I do really like that this series has done, because Crystal mentioned it just now, is the show starting to experiment a bit more. So, we had two very clear experimental episodes with Sleep No More and Heaven Sent. And although for me one of those didn't really work out in the way that I was hoping it would, I'm really glad that they're doing that.
Dan
kind of
is
thing.
grinding his teeth right now.
Sorry, like, you can't really hear what I'm saying now because all you can hear is even if it doesn't always turn out the way it should, or as well as it could have, as long as they carry on taking that approach, we will end up with more episodes like Heaven Sent and Midnight and Love and Monsters, which is also great.
You just described my top 10 episodes, basically.
I am looking forward to series 10, like I say.
Yeah.
More of that.
And the Christmas
Massively.
special, obviously.
And the Husbands
the
of River
Husbands of
Song!
River Song.
Yes, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Excitement. I'm reviewing that one.
Oh, exciting.
Of course you are. You have to review the Christmas
Yeah,
special.
that's your
do.
thing.
That
That's
is
the
the
thing
rule.
you do.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that's happened.
Yeah.
I think it's time we all said goodbye. That's it for our chat about Hellbent, the final episode of Series 9 of Doctor Who. Don't forget you can visit the 5e Fans website where there's the verdict page, your verdict, with the link will be over there or there. Also, that's all from us, I guess. Don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't, but if you've watched this entire video and you've not subscribed by now, what's that about?
You're
Yeah.
crazy.
Yo.
That's crazy.
You're just
Anyway,
here to-
Okay, it's open now. Let's see what it is. Hey, it's me, Jurassic.